Let me keep it 1,000 with you. I never really cared for Pusha T, let alone the Clips. They rapped a lot about the white powder, and to me, they was just overrated. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's like, but I started to see a trend of people who could just talk about white powder, and for some reason, a lot of people would gravitate and give them more accolades than they should really have had. I don't think he was a word genius like that, or is, to be honest with you. I think Drake is way better than that. But that's me. A lot of people think, but he's a realer. He's from the streets. He sold the cocaine. That make you a better lyricist? I see people on Instagram all the time that's trash, but their Instagram presence is, you understand, they're more popular. For whatever reason, we have the most backwards codes of respect and honor. And I think that has to come from a coward's perspective. To me, that you would reverence somebody just because they went in jail, came out. They don't do your community any good. Any good. They don't do your community. They are the absolute worst people in the community, and you would still give them all. Why do we do it? That's something to be studied alone. If we just stop, right? Yeah, you want to call somebody, but you not like that, and it'd be the same people that somebody say I'm not like that, and I know they're not like that, which is hilarious, right? If we was moving during the same time period, the same people that saying, but you not like that, would have ended up in my trunk. Wallahi. That is not even a question. That's not even a second thought. A second thought. The way I was moving through my mindset was I do what I do and that's it. But it wasn't also, I'm about to let everybody know what I do. No, it was like I took that shit dead ass serious. So for you to think that you're going to tell if someone is like that from whatever pre-ramble they got going on, the way they wear their clothes, like these are ridiculous things that'll get your wig pushed back. That's your plan? You're probably a poor judge of character. I'm gonna keep it 1,000 with you because you don't know what you're talking about. I mean, a poor judge of character, bro. I don't know. Anyway, in part one, we was listening to the politicians for the most part saying, hey, there's nothing wrong with this cocaine. Not if you sniff it. There's nothing wrong. That was in the 80s, late 70s, 80s. If you ask the same panel of scientists today, they would they would not be on board with that narrative. Why not? Why aren't you on board with this narrative? It's science. You know why? Because a lot of them be freestyling too, and they don't know until they know, which is usually too late. Hit the like button. Hype this video up. Let's continue listening. They're going to start talking about a guy named Robert Bick in a second. This is a scientist from Yale who's also saying, it's not wrong with a little sniff, you understand? However, he did give a warning that America received from Bolivia. Let's get into this story. Hit the hype button.
Benzinger replied. A sample, he said, of seized contraband. I can't believe you were holding almost $1 million there, Geyer sputtered. We ought to have security in the hearing room. We have some special agents in the room, I assure you, Benzinger said. The experts were careful to note that if cocaine became cheaper, it would be more widely available and might pose a bigger problem than anyone realized. But no one seemed to think there was much chance of that happening. Most of the smugglers, Benzinger said, were just bringing amounts small enough to put in a suitcase or stash on their body. We don't think people are bringing cocaine across the border, to a large extent, in a car from Mexico. He recommended that Congress, instead of trying to prevent the drug from coming in over the borders, concentrate its efforts on getting the Peruvians and Bolivians to stop growing coca plants.
That's crazy. And I think that's overstepping your boundaries. But the United States are habitual line steppers. The United States are habitual line steppers, so why would I expect anything different? Right? So because we can't control ourselves, let's just stop them from doing it. And they've been messing with stuff for thousands of years. Easy. Let's continue to go.
Dr. Robert Bick, a drug expert from Yale University, sat in the audience, listening patiently to the testimony all day. When it was Bick's turn to speak, Geyer warmly welcomed him up to the witness table, complimenting him on his very, very impressive academic and professional credentials. Bick thanked Geyer, and then politely ripped into the federal government for spreading misinformation about the drug. What I would like to talk to you about, for the most part, is the importance of telling the truth. Bick, a professor of psychiatry and pharmacology at Yale Medical School, began. The truth was that cocaine wasn't the horrible health hazard Americans were being told it was. Cocaine doesn't have the kind of health consequences that one sees with drugs such as alcohol and cigarettes. Right now, if we look at the hospital admission records and death records, cocaine doesn't look like a dangerous drug. We've given a great deal of cocaine to many individuals and find it to be a most unremarkable drug.
I'm not going to lie. I think everything in moderation. I've never done coke, by the way. I'm not trying to make excuses for anyone to use the cocaine. What I have heard is that the cocaine and the sugar cane are one molecule. There's a one molecule difference there. And eat too much sugar and it'll take you out. Maybe it's at a slower rate, but it'll take you out just the same. And just as violent, but slower. How many amputees you know, right? So there's a thing such as moderation. But there's also a slick way of creating a business once you prohibit something. Right? So, I guess the real question is, how addictive is it if you continue to use it, right? And I guess it goes back to moderation. But if it is the culture here to every time I get paid on Friday, I have to go do a line at the bar, right? Then this becomes a habit. And if there's any evidence that this substance is addictive, which by now we know it is, then I think the buildup over time, too much of anything they say will hurt you and destroy you. Too much of anything. So in moderation, all things, but some things is just not going to be. You think you're going to have moderation. You can't control the beast. You can't.
Giving cocaine by nose to normal young men. When anyone visits our laboratory, they look at the TV screen and say, "That guy took cocaine?" They don't jump around. They don't get excited. They sit calmly and experience a drug high and don't become dangerous. What about 5 years later? Geyer cried. Are the membranes and so on not affected at all? The damage to people's membranes is quite rare with cocaine. It does occur, but it is a rare phenomenon, Bick answered. Part of this is because people don't use very much cocaine. It is expensive.
See?
Tell me the last alcoholic you saw with cirrhosis of the liver when cirrhosis was caused by Dom Perignon. You almost never see it. As most Americans were using it, Bick said, cocaine...
That is a fascinating topic, right? There's not a lot of people that only drink Cristal and Dom Perignon and are even alcoholics, let alone have cirrhosis of the liver. But how many people have you watched die a slow death drinking 50-cent beers? And why are the 50-cent beers so big? I'm like, that's a 50-cent beer? It looks like remember you used to go to the movies and they'd be like, for a quarter more, would you like the next size? And of course you're going to say yes because it's a quarter more. That's why they phrase it like that. By the end of this whole script and fiasco, you walk outside, you're walking into the theater with a novelty-sized, ridiculously looking freaking cup of fruit punch, which is mostly high fructose corn syrup, contributing to our demise and leading to the diabetes. Let's go.
It's a very safe drug. You almost never see anesthetic death due to cocaine. There have been a series of 14,000 consecutive doses of cocaine given with no deaths. Deaths from cocaine are very, very rare. They do occur, and I think it is important to recognize that they occur. But actually, the drug, in terms of the risk of killing people, is comparatively safe. If you want a dangerous drug, take digitalis or digoxin. It is a heart drug. And that is really deadly. One of the deadliest poisons known. But that is used to save lives, Geyer countered. Yes, it is used to save lives, Bick said. Cocaine is also used medically. So you cannot take whether or not something can kill you as a measure of dangerousness. What the government was doing with its scare campaigns about cocaine, Bick complained, was poisoning the well. It was ruining the government's credibility with the public, just when the government needed its credibility to be impeccable. I think we make a mistake when we say that snorting cocaine every once in a while is a dangerous habit and is going to kill people, because it does not, Bick said flatly. There are a great many people around who have been snorting cocaine and know that their friends haven't gotten into trouble. If you then tell those people that cocaine is very dangerous, they won't believe it. Then, when you get to the next step, when you were talking about something that is really dangerous, they are not going to believe you the second time.
That's right.
And that brought Bick to the real reason he was in Washington on a humid day in late July.
Right. Let's get to
He was there to deliver a warning from the scientific community. Something bad was coming, Bick knew. Something so deadly awful that the only way to prevent a catastrophe was for the government to tell the truth and pray to God that it was believed. I think we have to be careful that the government is believed about cocaine, because there are dangers associated with the drug, Bick said vaguely. These dangers are not particularly associated with the present use pattern. Bick told the committee that he'd hesitated for a long time about coming forward with the information and was still reluctant to discuss the matter in a public hearing. Usually, when things like this are reported, the media advertises them, and this attention has been a problem with cocaine all along. Chairman Geyer, who'd spent 2 decades as a public relations man for an Ohio tire company, told Bick to spit it out. The purpose of our panel is to bring into the open what has been, up to now, a pretty secret kind of thing. The information Bick had was known to only a handful of drug researchers around the world, and it was as frightening a spectacle as any they'd ever seen. For about a year, A Peruvian police psychiatrist named Dr. Raul Heri had been insisting that wealthy drug users in Lima were being driven insane by cocaine.
Listen.
A psychiatrist in Bolivia, Dr. Niels Noya, began making similar claims shortly thereafter. Their reports, written in Spanish and published in obscure medical journals, went largely unnoticed in the United States because, frankly, they sounded so weird. The first problem was that all of recorded history was against them. Peru and Bolivia had been producing cocaine products for thousands of years, with few reports of the drug causing serious medical effects. At the same time, some of America's leading researchers were claiming that cocaine was non-addictive and perhaps should be legalized. Heri, a professor of clinical neurology at the National University of San Marcos, claimed a cocaine epidemic had swept through Lima's fashionable neighborhoods in 1974 and spread like a grass fire to Peru's other major cities. Piura, Trujillo, Chiclayo, Chimbota, Juarez, Ica, Arequipa, and Cusco. Within 2 years, he said, the alleged epidemic had engulfed Ecuador and Bolivia. No one had heard of anything like it before.
This is crazy. Because this would be the same zombie apocalypse that would take over our urban black communities and our poor white communities as well. I mean, why did you think where do you think these people were going when they went OT, out of town? These black kids were headed to rural areas where white addicts were at to provide them, and they would pay the higher price until they would get caught, end up doing time. And then your options are, I continue to play this hand out, or I count my losses and go in another direction, right? You got your felony, you lost a couple of years. How about, let me just try to do something else right now? There's plenty of people who did that. Say, I don't got another 10 in me, another 15. I'm good. Go find a good woman. Go get a job. Try to get that off your record. And then move on with your life. And just chuck it up as, being young and trying something. Because we was all young and we all tried it. Some of us got caught. Some of us didn't. Some of us stayed in the game. Some of us didn't.
It also didn't help that the psychiatrist's studies read like the script of Reefer Madness, painting scenes of jails and insane asylums filling up with legions of half-mad drug fiends. When seen, these patients were generally very thin, unkempt, pale, and looking suspiciously from one side to the other, Heri wrote. These movements were associated with visual hallucinations, shadows, light, or human figures, which they observed in the temporal fields of vision. Many of the patients bore scratches from trying to dig out the hallucinations they felt crawling under their skin, and they claimed they were being followed by persons or shadows that seemed to want to catch, attack, or kill them.
I mean, you gotta understand, some of these people he's describing have children, young children. So, we're talking about the beginning of the origin of generational curses for thousands.
3 patients died in this series, 2 by acute intoxication and 1 by suicide. It wasn't a new drug that was causing this reaction, Heri and Noya reported, but a new trick from an old dog. Instead of sniffing tiny crystals of cocaine up their nose, as Americans were doing, the Peruvians and Bolivians were smoking a paste known variously as pasta básica de cocana, base, or basuco. It was all the same thing, the gooey mess that leached out of solvent-soaked coca leaves. Coca paste was an indeterminate substance created on the way to manufacturing the white powder known to most cocaine users. People had started drying the paste, crumbling it into cigarettes and smoking it. For the serious drug abuser, Paste's advantages over powder were enormous. You could smoke as much as you wanted. With powder, only a small amount could be stuffed up one's nose, and it took time for the drug to kick in, because first it had to be absorbed by the nasal membranes. Eventually, the nose got numb. Cocaine vapor, on the other hand, hit the vast surface area of the lungs immediately and delivered an instantaneous sledgehammer high. Users described the feeling as more intense than orgasm. Some called it a whole-body orgasm. And there was no limit to the amount of vapor the lungs could process. Paste had the added advantage of being richer in actual cocaine than the powder commonly sold. 40 to...
Isn't that not crazy that just the technique alone would deliver an entirely different experience? So you could snort it and it would, I guess, because how it goes through your system, right? It takes time. It has to go through the membranes of the nose, the body, the thing, and then it goes gently into your stream, which may give you a milder effect. But those chemicals hitting your lungs turns you into something else that your body couldn't hit, that your mind couldn't handle. You out here hallucinating. That's wild.
To 85%, as opposed to 12 to 20%, and was far cheaper. In terms of bang for the buck, it couldn't be beat. Many patients said they found no other drug as pleasurable as this one, Harry wrote. Paste was almost unknown 6 years ago. Now it is the main drug reported by patients who are admitted to psychiatric hospitals or drug treatment centers in Lima.
Wow.
There is no zone of this city where youngsters do not get together to smoke coca paste and where pushers do not sell the drug in their own homes or in the street. They even come to the school entrances to do their business.
This was reported. This was going on in 74. This was going on in 74 before this type of technique really even hit the United States. The United States knew about it. So I don't know why they would play a game with all of these, public relation theatrics. Just so you know, this is your brain on drugs. No, we got a serious epidemic here. And if you did the history of what it did to South America, you would not be taking this for a joke. But I don't think they took it for a joke. They took it as an opportunity to reinforce slavery. We got to do the knowledge, God. Got to do the knowledge. Hit the like button. Do subscribe to the channel. Come back in part 3. Hype the video. I like to have intellectual discussions. We could talk about this, but I'm not really one for calling people names, this, that, and I don't do that, bro. I'm outside. I see you. You look me in my eyes. I look in your eye. I want to know that whatever was about to jump off, it was because I've run into people. They say, "Yo, you be up there saying this." What did I say? Show me what I said. I just didn't agree with what you had going on, and your ego is not liking the fact that I don't agree with what you got going on. But I never called you out your name. I never made you seem like a sucker. I never said you was a sucker. You a man. I'm a man. That's it. So I'm not really into those other theatrics like that. However, I do like to have these conversations in a different type of way. If you feeling the vibe of what's going on over here, because it ain't for everybody. Some people, they aggressively ignorant, and I get it. There's a channel for you. You might want to check out my man China Brim or something like that. He's into that type of thing. You know what I'm saying? 050 is the movement. However, over here I got a different approach. So if you're digging it, you're digging it. If not, it is what it is. Hit the like button if you do, though. You understand? And thank you for everybody's support. Push the hype button. I see you in the next video. Peace out.